What's up, you guys? Yes, today I'm gonna talk about what Koreans and foreigners can misunderstand about each other. Because there are some cultural differences between us that I think is important to know in order to understand and eventually accept each other. Like, for example, one common situation that I've seen occur a lot in Korea is when foreigners don't respect the cultural differences when it comes to clothes, the way you dress. For example, in a lot of Western countries, it's not considered sexual to wear clothes that defines your figure, and Western girls wear a lot of low-cut clothes. It shows cleavage and the definition of the body and stuff. And I see a lot of foreigners have a hard time adjusting to that in Korea. It's considered more sexual in Korea than it is in their countries. Also, speaking of sex, since in our culture we are raised with having sexual education in school, and there's so many reality shows on TV that shows people all the time basically having sex. Just talking about sex is something that we do very openly, and it's not a big step for us to start talking about sex with someone or making sexual jokes. I was hanging out with two Korean friends, and one of them were starting to talk about sex with me, making some sex jokes. Then the other one just came and interrupted him and dragged me away from him. She was so embarrassed about him that he was talking about it. She was saying don't listen to him, he's piante. But to me, we were just having a normal conversation. Us foreigners, or at least we Swedish people, we are used to that everything closes at 6, or like I've said before, unfortunately, on weekends even at 4 p.m. So one thing that Koreans might misunderstand is that we are not used to being outside as much and doing stuff outside as you are. We are more used to and most likely to invite people to our home, because we are used to that we do stuff at home when we're together or hanging out. So we invite people, friends, dates over to our house, maybe on the first date even. It's the same when we're gonna party in Sweden. We always go to something that we call pre-drinking, which is basically that we go to a friend's house and drink, doing some drinking games, basically what Koreans does in restaurants, drinking games and listening to music and hanging out. And when it's 2 hours left till the club are closing, then we go out to the clubs. And this is I think it's an idea for us to save money, because in Sweden also everything is so expensive, especially if you're gonna drink outside at a bar or a club. So it's at least a little bit cheaper to buy your alcohol and take home with you from our alcohol convenience stores that we have. And if you're going out to the club, then you most likely are gonna go back to the party to the pre-drinking party, and then it's called after party. If someone invites you home or to a house party after you've been to the club or the club is closed, then it doesn't have to mean something sexual. Another thing that I have to bring up is that what I've seen and experienced in Korean dramas and movies and just in Korea in general, and stories I've heard from Korean friends that when someone in authority, like a boss or whatever, is yelling at a worker or someone lower than him, like take a father and son situation, for example, where the father is gonna teach the son a lesson. I always thought when I see like Korean dramas and stuff that the one with authority are making so big expressions and releasing so much emotions against the one who has done something wrong. And the one who has done something wrong is always looking down, while the one in authority are screaming at him and are basically being so weak. And while for us foreigners, or most Westerners at least, we are taught when we are young that it's rude to look down. Like if I'm looking down when someone is yelling at me, then he's gonna right away say it to my face, like, look me in the eye when I'm talking to you. And maybe that's why in Western movies, for example, then you don't see that kind of big expressions and emotions when someone is yelling at someone or trying to teach someone a lesson. Because looking someone in the eye, for us, it means for us that you are actually listening and taking in what the other person are saying. If you look me in the eye while I'm trying to teach you a lesson, then I don't have to scream too much or make some big expressions against you, because I can see that you are listening. But when I told this to my Korean friends, I've heard that they right away said like, no, never do that if a boss or authority is Korean and are yelling at you. Because apparently for you Koreans, it means when you're looking someone in the eye like that, it means that you are challenging him or her, that you're trying to pick a fight. So I think that's important to know in order for us to understand that we are raised differently. And I think that situation is really common to misunderstand about each other. Something that I love about Korea and that my mom hates. Something that I've always done and try to not do when my mom is in the same country or building or table. Because when Koreans eat, they tend to make a lot of noises when they eat. They're like slurping and maybe it's because of the chopsticks and stuff. It's like when they're eating ramen or noodles, they're like drinking the noodles, like even seen this in commercials. My Korean friends told me that it is because it's appetizing for you, apparently, which is amazing. But for most foreigners, especially my mom, considered rude and not so appetizing to do those kind of sounds when you are eating. But I love it. Something that I've heard that foreigners can think is rude in Korea is that Koreans are so very straightforward when it comes to talking about looks and stuff. For example, I can hear my Korean friends talking to each other really openly about how someone gained weight, or you would look so much better if you lost 10 pounds, or if you did a nose surgery. And maybe that's something you say as a compliment or something to encourage the other person. But for Westerners, we are not used to hearing that straightforward things about the looks. I know you are meaning something good, but you have to keep in mind that Westerners don't take it as a good thing all the time, at least. Also, some compliments that are considered compliments in Korea would be considered rude and not compliments in other countries for foreigners. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for watching. This was just a few things that I think it's important for us to understand about each other so we can accept and don't misunderstand each other. in the future. Let me know in the comment section if you can think of more examples. I'll see you in the next video.